In a post-apocalyptic world, people struggle to survive. Zhao Cheng lost everything, and yet they took away his only sister. But he did not give up, ready to take revenge on the villains. However, things didn't go quite as he planned. The boy returned to fight, but was severely wounded. Will he really have to accept his fate so meekly? No, patient waiting for 3 years, all for the sake of awakening his verbal attribute. Those who oppressed him, who robbed him, who helped him, Zhao Cheng will repay evil for evil and good for good. This time, Zhao Cheng will definitely win and bring his sister back. The horses puffed angrily, emitting toxic fumes. The cart creaked as it moved rapidly along the main road of the ruined city. It seems the cargo was valuable and was guarded by soldiers. Many of the girls in the carriage were depressed and frightened, but one of them remained steadfastly calm. This is the best outcome. Chengzi is left alone. From now on he must live. Live for the future. An insistent cry destroyed the chilling silence of the dead city. The impudent Zhao Cheng fearlessly jumped out right in front of the horses, rearing them up and demanding that the bandits return his sister. The girl's heart beat faster, worried about her brother, Chengzi as always. The soldiers accompanying the cart silently raised their rifles and pulled the trigger. Zhao Cheng's sister couldn't let anything happen to her brother. Someone had to stop them. She clung to the bars of the cage. He promised not to harm her brother. The man slowly pushed back the palanquin and walked out, he remembers. He doesn't need to be reminded. Zhao Cheng continued to scream hysterically. Even if he had to die, he still would not give up his sister. The boy naively went on the attack, but the man knocked him down with just one blow. To teach Zhao Cheng a lesson, he delivered another punch to the stomach. The boy doubled over and groaned in pain. A worthless person like him is not capable of protecting anyone, the gang leader spat contemptuously. The young man almost lost consciousness. His vision darkened, and his whole body trembled with pain. Tears welled up in the girl's eyes and she begged Chengzi to stop. Filled with contempt and pity for the boy in front of him, the man threw him the awakening stone his sister had bought with her last money. But even if a non-entity like him were to awaken, he would still remain a nobody. Desperation gripped Zhao Cheng. He could hardly move, and his sister was once again taken away somewhere far away. He could hardly make out her face. It seemed she was crying. Then everything went dark before his eyes. Zhao Cheng jumped up in bed, continuing to call out for his sister. This memory again. For 3 years in a row, he has been dreaming the same dream. Yes, 3 whole years have passed since she was taken away, and he cannot forget that feeling of absolute despair. He must become stronger. Only then will he have even the slightest chance of finding her. The sharp crack of the wooden panels made Zhao Cheng flinch, and the shards of his door crashed to the floor. It's time to collect rent for this month's temporary accommodation. The guy recently got some money. He works on the farm. It would be stupid not to enjoy the results of his success. The deputy manager of the settlement, Zhao Jijie, didn't even want to listen to the guy's indignant cries. He had already paid for this month. Well, since Zhao Cheng refuses to cooperate, he will force him. The man gave the order to search the barn properly. The bandits approached the young man, flexing their fists. Sometime later, Zhao Cheng lay exhausted, humiliated and beaten. Zhao Jijie chuckled contentedly. He still had 5 bills left, and he said that he had given them all away. If he had shown them right away, he wouldn't have had to get beaten up for lying. The guy's teeth began to grind. It didn't hurt anymore. He had long since gotten used to their beatings. Don't let him think that he doesn't understand what the deputy is trying to achieve. Zhao Jie is always picking on him. Zhao Cheng clenched his trembling fist, bracing himself for another attack of pain, then punched himself in the stomach with all his might. A painful groan escaped his lips. It didn't work the first time, so he hit himself again. Finally coughing, he spat out a small ball with a shining stone in the center. All wet, the ball rolled across the parquet floor with a pleasant ringing sound. It's all because of this awakening stone. For 3 years since his sister was taken away, he tried to find out everything connected with this stone. But unfortunately, the young man never found a single clue. The only trace leads to one person. If he finds him, he will find his sister. As for the stone itself, if you are over 16, you can use it to awaken the so-called innate seal. There are 3 types of seals: bronze, gold, and diamond, and the abilities gained are also divided into strong and weak. He who awakens the seal becomes awakened. Such a stone is worth a lot of money. It cannot be found just like that. But his sister gave it to him. If he were to test his seal, his chances of finding her would increase dramatically. Today, Zhao Cheng turned 16 years old. His only wish is to find his sister. Concentrating, Zhao Cheng directed his consciousness into the ball, and the awakening of his seal would finally occur. A unique diamond soul, which means that only he has one. It has 2 effects: Divine Book Input, which awakens a new seal every time you level up, and Divine Book Gift, which increases the power of all newly acquired seals by 50%. In their settlement number 226, there are only 3 awakened ones, the manager and his 2 assistants. It is said that Zhao Jiji reached the 8th level and received only 1 seal, but according to the description, when he reaches the 8th level, he will already have 7 seals. But here's the problem, he doesn't know how to level up at all. His only option is to ask Liu Xie, who awakened 6 months ago. It is from here that the food that feeds the entire settlement comes. They say that 1,000 years ago, the great chaos broke out in the world, which completely changed the flora and fauna. As a result, food became catastrophically scarce. Famine continued for many years, and countless people died from starvation. Only with the advent of agencies that developed new crops did humanity again have a chance to survive. But even despite their work, most of the harvest goes to the manager, leaving only a small share for the common people. No matter how much the land yields, the manager's share is always constant, so when the harvest fails, people begin to die of hunger. A voice pulled him out of his thoughts. What was Chengzi thinking about? Was he really enchanted by his red wine? Liu Xie, Zhao Cheng's best friend, lived in an ordinary family, and by the standards of their settlement, he lived well. Zhao Cheng awkwardly decided to get straight to the point. Xie had already awakened his seal, he had hidden it so well, but his friend still saw through him. And the guy was eager to ask the main question, how does he level up after awakening the seal? Well, he will tell his friend. After waking up, he finds himself in the so-called dimensional dungeon, where he needs to kill monsters to level up. The dungeons absorb their energy, and powerful monsters roam within, plus you have to pay hundreds of coins as an entrance fee to enter. The saddest thing is that everyone is obliged to give 10% of all the loot to those who guard the entrance. The world is now in such a pitiful state that his heart is aching with pain. Liu Xie sighed heavily with tears in his eyes. The dungeon is draining their energy, and the inside is full of monsters. It seems even more dangerous there than outside. It is a matter of life and death. Out of 10 who enter, 9 die, and those who survive do not always return whole. Their conversation was interrupted by a painfully familiar, unpleasant voice, Zhao Jie. Although Liu Xie was not happy about his appearance, he tried to put a smile on his face. What happened? Jiji is the right hand of the settlement's manager. He never shows up without reason, and certainly not with good intentions. The man heard that the boy had awakened, and now he had a chance to enter the dimensional dungeon assigned to their settlement. Entry is free, but there is one condition. Everything that is there belongs to the settlement. Liu Xie almost choked on such impudence. In what sense does this belong to the settlement? Zhao Cheng was really angry. In fact, his friend would get nothing. They would divide everything between themselves. The manager didn't see a problem with this. And so what? He was clenching his fists, although he himself hadn't woken up yet. Did he really want to fight with him? Liu Xie tried to calm his friend down. No need to get excited. This is just a foray for supplies. Liu Xie is strong. He knows he will return alive. The boy tried to smooth things over. His friend had acted too impulsively. There was no point in paying attention to him. Of course he was ready to go. Zhaoxing knows almost nothing about these dungeons, and now is not the best time to say that he has a seal. But Liu Xie is his best friend, and besides, he doesn't have 100 coins to enter another dungeon, so it's worth the risk. If they want him to go there and die, let them count him along with him. Zhao Jiji laughed venomously. He is not suitable. Only the awakened are allowed to enter. Zhao Cheng was determined and also woke up. Dimensional Dungeon of Settlement number 276, White Level. Soon Zhao Jai's group was at the portal. He informed his comrades that they had new mules. The man cackled contentedly, tame, trained. The boys froze uncertainly in front of the portal. Liu Xie thanked his friend. It wasn't for nothing that he called him brother. The friends disappeared into the portal, but Zhao Jijie and his gang were in no hurry to follow them. The man exhaled a thick cloud of smoke. Damn, this guy is good at hiding. This is the same awakening stone that the agency left behind when they took his sister. He searched his house for 3 years, but never found this stone. Perhaps the boy will want to take revenge on him. But to take revenge, he first needs to return alive. In this world, simply waking up is not enough to become invincible. Zhao Jiji has awakened, but his seal is golden. The other dimension was completely different from their world, dark and gloomy. It inspired melancholy and anxiety. Once the boys were told that the dimensional dungeon is a projection of hell on earth. If they stay there too long, it will suck out all their energy and they will die. Zhao Jiji was determined. If this was true, they didn't have much time. They had to act quickly. Just as the boys were about to make a plan, a sharp cry made them flinch in fear. The dungeons have several entrances and appear in different places, so it's no wonder there are people here. Now it's clear why Zhao Jiji and his team are recruiting people for free for entry. That means supplies aren't shared among everyone here. They'll have to compete with others. It turns out that those who accidentally awaken the seal are simply a tool for collecting resources. Liu Xie's eyes were filled with worry, and he couldn't understand why his friend had even gone. He weakly poked him in the side with his elbow. Did he really want to die? If Zhao Cheng didn't take the risk, he wouldn't have a single chance to compete with the likes of them. Liu Xie looked him over from head to toe with a skeptical expression. Did he really want to fight high-level awakened beings? Zhao Cheng hated these people with all his heart. Every second, every ordinary person in the settlement would kill them if they had the chance. Liu Xie chuckled, and he was not mistaken about his friend. To be honest, he also woke up in secret. Together with others, they are gathering forces to put an end to these bastards. He remembers that 2 years ago his grandmother died from brutal beatings that were inflicted on her, despite her age. He, Liu Xie, declares that Zhao Cheng is not just his friend, he is his comrade in arms. Although he has personal reasons, sooner or later he will leave this place and find his sister. By the way, Liu Xie also has personal motives. As soon as they overthrow this gang, he and Xiaoyu will get married. Zhao laughed. It all depended on whether they got out of here alive. The guys looked out from behind the bushes. It was probably that man shouting. Its body is larger than the mutated wolf outside the dungeon, and while it is rotting, it is still alive. The bright red core in the center seems to be its weak point, but this creature seems familiar to Zhao Cheng. The Awakening Stone? The energy from it is almost the same as from the Awakening Stone. Does this wolf also have an ability? Liu Xie was touched by his friend's determination. He was surprisingly calm. When he first saw such a monster, he almost fainted. Finally, the wolf finished his meal and left. They can pass. Zhao Cheng bent over the remains of the dead man. His friend screamed what he was doing. He once hid the Awakening Stone in the stomach of a mutated dog in a cesspool, so it's nothing. The knife is good, made from cow bones. Liu Xie screamed. It seemed like that animal was coming back. The wolf slowly approached them, enjoying their fear and looming over them. Wolves are cunning by nature, and it seems he pretended to leave to lure them out. But in fact, he stepped forward on purpose. With this weapon, the guy has a better chance of killing the creature. He will be able to distract it. Liu Xie need not worry. Zhao Cheng will completely understand. Xi awakened his seal almost a month earlier than him. He definitely knows how to deal with such monsters. His sister taught him that if he wanted to survive the apocalypse, he had to strike first. She took Zhao Cheng hunting mutants since he was a child. He was 9. A rotten wolf is not the most terrible opponent. It's a pity that he can't immediately pierce this blood-red core. Liu Xie was afraid to approach, but he helped his friend from afar. And his gracefully launched stone from the slingshot hit the monster in the eye, blinding it for a moment. While the monster was trying to come to its senses, growling with anger, it was necessary to act faster. Zhou made a final dash with all his might, aiming the tip of his sword at the wolf's vulnerable spot. The knife blade crunched into the core, and the monster's painful roar was deafening. The creature kicked, trying with all its might to throw the guy off its carcass, but Zhao Cheng held on as best he could. Finally, the monster was defeated, its heavy body falling towards the young man. Liu Xie ran at full speed, but he didn't have time to help his friend. The heavy carcass buried him alive. Liu Xie's heart was relieved when Zhao Cheng's bluish head appeared among the wolf's thick fur. He wouldn't die so easily. The system congratulated the hero. He survived. The effects of the seal of the Book of Infinite Evolution are activated. New seals are available to him. He can choose one of 3. Here it is. The power of the diamond seal. After leveling up, he immediately gets a choice of seal. Paper Soldier is bronze, but Solo Development and Wolfskin are gold. It's a shame there are no clues about what these seals are capable of. This seal has a Mark 1. Maybe there is something special about it. Zhao Cheng chose Solo Development. All characteristics are increased by 15%, and one characteristic can also be significantly strengthened for 1 minute by 200%. Liu Xie was bored, and how long was his friend going to stand still? He needed to quickly take the prey. The smell of blood might attract other monsters. Zhao Cheng looked at the fallen beast. He just thought for a second. Maybe Liu Xie could help him. The boy scratched the back of his head awkwardly. It seemed he didn't want to do dirty work. At home, his parents didn't even allow him to slaughter poultry. Both of his parents are alive, which is rare in the age of apocalypse, and he is completely different from Zhao Cheng. Then he will take the prey from the wolf. The meat has already rotted. It is useless. But he can take the dug-up crystals. The wolf's bones and skin are worthless. The most valuable thing is the gray crystals. Is he sure he wants to give them away? Liu Xie's family is clearly preparing for something, trying to get more soldiers and horses. This is his share. Besides, if he hadn't shot the wolf in the eye, it would have been much more difficult for Zhao Cheng to finish him off. If they go back the same way, they will have to give up everything they found. Did Zhao Cheng think of a way for them to avoid this? The young man decided to go ahead and fight as soon as they got out of here. They needed to use the local resources and level up as quickly as possible. Then they will continue clearing the dungeon. He and his sister have already encountered wolf dens. Wolves rarely hunt alone. Liu Zie stopped him. They weren't real comrades after all. They had been through fire and water together. Before the next hunt, they needed to clarify some things. Zhao Cheng was puzzled. His friend's voice sounded strained. After killing the wolf, Liu Zie's experience had reached over 90%, and he would soon reach the second level. His seal, High Mastery, is gold. It increases several stats by 15% and allows you to find enemy vulnerabilities. It was for this reason that he immediately guessed that the wolf's weak spot was his eyes. Liu Zie wanted to talk frankly so that they could cooperate more effectively in the future. What would happen if he found out about his diamond seal? Will he still consider Zhao Cheng his comrade? Zhao Cheng hesitated for a while, gathering his courage. He has a golden seal that also increases all stats by 15% and can temporarily boost one of them. This is his first seal, which means he didn't lie. Liu Zie breathed a sigh of relief. He was already beginning to fear that his friend would not tell him anything, and that his seal would be better than his. Well, he's glad they're on the same level. They're truly brothers in fate. Zhao Cheng's conscience gnawed at him, and he mentally apologized to his comrade. One day he would tell him everything. The young people slowly but surely moved deeper into the forest. They developed a strategy, and acting in a coordinated manner, any monster in their path was quickly defeated. Wolf bones and clothing can be exchanged for money, so it's best to collect them. Zhao Cheng leveled up quickly because he obtained the one step ahead diamond seal at level 3. But even though it is as rare as the Book of Eternal Evolution, it is obviously much weaker, meaning there are noticeable differences in strength between diamond furnaces. Liu Zie's voice pulled him out of his thoughts. It seemed like he heard someone. Zhao Cheng immediately lowered his voice. They had better go the other way to avoid causing trouble for themselves. The guy confidently moved into the thicket of the forest. Leveling up here is not difficult, but time is short. The main thing is not to linger too long, so as not to lose his energy. There were anxious cries coming from the opposite side. Perhaps it was worth checking after all. The boys crept up almost silently and hid in the bushes, watching the two silhouettes. The girl was outraged, because he had planned all this from the very beginning. Her interlocutor chuckled. Well, of course. For him, this was a unique chance to get closer to such a great girl like her. She could see his seal. It's a basic toxin. Everyone around her died from poisoning, and she just woke up and is only at the first level. How does she think what could happen to her? She will still get married someday, and what he really needs is the status of son-in-law of the Guan family. The man laughed smugly. They were just made for each other. Liu Zie snorted. Zhao Cheng heard. A slave with ambitions. Come on. This is also a way to gain power. Zhao Cheng remained silent, not reacting to his friend's words. Liu Zie became embarrassed. If all her guards are dead, they will have a chance. We need to wait until they both exhaust each other and then search the bodies. The woman's level is too low. She won't survive. Meanwhile, her opponent went on the attack. Since Lady Guan didn't want to cooperate, he would do everything himself. The corners of the girl's lips turned down in displeasure, but she continued to stand calmly in her place. She swung and slapped the man across the cheek, scattering the finest powder into the air. Her opponent started coughing loudly. And what was that? It's just paralyzing powder. It won't stop him for long. She needs to run as fast as possible. The malicious laughter of the man on his tail confirmed this. The paralyzing powder had no effect on him. If she wants to fight him, let her not blame him for his cruelty. With a sharp blow, the man knocked Mrs. Guan off her feet. She screamed briefly, and a knife got stuck in her hand. This is what the difference in levels means. With each new level, physical abilities increase. He noticed this, as each time it became easier for him to deal with the wolves on their way. It seems the girl really believes her fairy tales. He had no intention of becoming the Guan family's son-in-law. The man's original plan was to disgrace them and turn their precious princess into damaged goods. Guanzhou quietly pulled out the dagger from her wounded hand and sharply plunged it into the man's neck. His voice became hoarse and gurgling. Since she had gone this far, he would just kill her right now. The girl was ready to die. The dagger was poisoned. If she died, then at least she would not disgrace her family. The enemy was already raising the blade above her neck when a sharp flash distracted Lady Guan's attention. Putting all his strength into the blow, Zhao Cheng hit the bastard in the solar plexus. The blow was indeed quite good. The villain flew back several meters and painfully crashed into a nearby tree. Liu Zie was amazed by his friend's abilities. He didn't know he could fight like that. He flew out so quickly. He must have used the skill to strengthen his legs. Seeing the girl who was barely conscious, Liu Zie cried out in fear. She didn't look very good. With each passing second, her face was losing more and more color. Was she really dying? It's a pity she was poisoned. Even if she is alive now, She will die soon anyway. Zhao Cheng had a feeling that she couldn't die. She could still be useful for their plan to overthrow the government. Liu Zi was discouraged and didn't know how they could help her. They couldn't cure the poisoning. Zhao Cheng waved his hand to the side. They can't, but that man will definitely succeed. While he was unconscious, the young men rushed to search him and tie him up. The woman already knew who he was, so for these forces he was just a bargaining chip. Those who come for revenge will most likely be hostile to that noble lady as well. While the guys were chatting, the man slowly came to his senses. His head ached terribly, as if someone had hit him. He shuddered in fear, noticing two bloodthirsty looks at him. Who are they and how dare they attack him? They must know who he is and let him go immediately. Otherwise they will regret it. He can be treated like the mutated boar they caught in the wild last time. The guy was lucky. That boar also went wild and squealed, and then met a very sad end. After several blows, the man finally gave in. His blood was the antidote, and they promised to stop beating him. Whether he survives or not depends on whether his chatter turns out to be true. Zhao Cheng roughly grabbed the man and dragged him towards his victim. He moaned painfully, asking him to be more careful. But the guy was cold to his pleas. He roughly ran the knife along the man's wrist. A trickle of blood flowed, drops dripping straight onto the lips of the poisoned girl. Finally, after this procedure was completed, Zhao Cheng asked Liu Zi to follow the scoundrel and bandage his wrist with wolf skin. Otherwise the smell of blood would attract monsters. Zhao Cheng glanced suspiciously at the villain, as the girl still hadn't come to her senses. But the man assured her that the antidote would soon work. A couple of minutes later his words were confirmed. Mrs. Guan slowly opened her eyes, wondering if she had really been saved. Zhao Cheng had his own reasons. He was not going to hide the fact that they overheard their conversation. She was a woman of noble birth after all. The girl slowly rose up and confirmed that she was from the Guan family. Although the guy in front of her had his own intentions, he still saved her. And besides, Liu Zhu revealed her identity. There was no point in her hiding anymore. Zhao Cheng had never heard of such a surname, and the boy naively assumed that her father was the manager of the settlement. Mrs. Guan raised an eyebrow in disbelief. What does he mean? Does he really not know what her surname means, or is he pretending to? Her silence began to irritate the young man, and he again demanded that she answer his question. The Guan family manages hundreds of large settlements. In a sense, they can also be called managers. The girl nodded. That's right. Zhao Cheng moved on to the next question. If he saved her life, could she ask her father to help him? Guanzhou was slow to respond, depending on what he wanted. Perhaps her life wasn't valuable enough to buy it. Zhao Cheng wants to take the place of the manager of his settlement. If her father is also a manager, then he is a powerful man. With her support, his chances will greatly increase. Madame Guan almost choked, that's all. Zhao Cheng continued. He understands that it will be difficult for her to decide. It will cost her a lot, but she is also here to obtain resources and gain experience. Therefore, they can be her bodyguards and protect her. Besides, all the supplies they get will remain hers. She only needs one thing. She must promise that she will help them. The girl turned a questioning glance at Liu Zi, but he waved her off, saying he had no opinion on the matter. She thought about the identity of the man who saved her. He was about her age, but much calmer and more determined. Although he is a bit reckless, it might be fun to explore the dungeon with him. The choice is obvious, she agrees. The girl extended her hand. Her name is Guanzhou. Zhao Cheng squeezed her hand tightly, happy to cooperate. He introduced himself and his friend, Liu Zi, is very close to him, almost like a brother. Lady Guan turned her gaze to their captive, wondering what they were going to do with him. Zhao Cheng didn't care about his fate. Now they were allies, so she could decide what to do with him. The girl may consider this his gift in honor of their acquaintance. Assuming what awaits him, the man begged for mercy. Madame Guan could hardly stand on her feet. Well then, she would deal with him herself. His blood can neutralize the poison, and if you use his poison dagger, he still won't die. But the girl already knew about it. She didn't intend to kill him. She only wanted him to bleed a little. The man trembled with fear, begging to have mercy on him, that he would never appear in her path. But the girl was merciless. The dagger entered the shoulder with a crack of torn muscles. After finishing, Madame Guan turned to her new bodyguards. It's time to go. It seemed that the girl was not at all soft. Zhao Cheng felt a cold cruelty emanating from her. Leaving a person to be torn apart by monsters was much more painful than killing him with one blow. The enraged villain continued to shout after them that when he got out of here, the creature named Guan would die in agony. The monsters, attracted by fresh blood, quickly gathered. And then the man realized that he would never get out of this forest. Zhao Cheng is not entirely happy with this turn of events. In his opinion, the girl acted too impulsively. If he had survived, they might have found out who was behind all this, and to solve the problem, they needed to find the real culprit. Madame Guan chuckled. The guy was too kind to her, but she had almost no enemies, so she had already guessed who it could be. Since the girl had promised Zhao Cheng that she would help him, he, of course, should also take care of her. But if the enemy is truly high-ranking, a living witness could be even more of a problem, so it's good the man is dead. It seems that even the manager's daughter has problems that cannot be solved directly. The foul breath and deafening roar made the entire company freeze in place. When the wolf's mouth snapped shut, the boy barely had time to jump to the side, taking Guanzhou with him. It seemed they had entered the Phantom Forest, where the king of the Phantom Bone Wolves, level 5, lived. But the king was not alone, of course. He was accompanied by a whole flock. They killed so many wolves, and now they're just paying for it. Zhao Cheng drew a dagger that, compared to the monster's size, seemed like a toothpick. He would kill the king. Since he reached level 4, ordinary wolves give very little experience, so if he wants to quickly move to level 5, he'll have to fight him. That's why he didn't interfere when the girl drew blood from that guy. He needs the wolf's head to pave the way to the top. Madame Guan read in an ancient book that to do a job well, you need a good tool. His bone blade was already showing cracks. If he didn't mind, she would help. She pulled out a dagger from her skirts. It's not perfect, but it's certainly better than what he has in his hands. Zhao Cheng tossed the blade, gaining a better grip, and thanked the girl. Without a second's hesitation, the guy went on the attack. He can't rely on brute force alone to defeat such a huge monster. He will have to find the blood-red core and crush it. This is his only chance of victory. Zhao Cheng thrust the knife right through the monster's thick fur, and the wolf growled angrily. If he can get the blade right there, he wins. Sharp teeth snapped next to Zhao Cheng's leg, and these monsters know how to fight in a coordinated manner. So that's how it is. A distraction? Mutated wolves in the wild have high intelligence. These ones look the same. But no matter how high their intelligence, can it surpass human intelligence? From the very beginning, Zhao Cheng had no intention of fighting only the Wolf King. The second-level Wolf King no longer posed a threat to him. He decisively activated his seal skills. Such a strategy is useless in the face of real force. The young man cleverly distracted the creature, while simultaneously signaling to his friend. Liu Zie pulled the rubber band of the slingshot while inserting several stones into it. The wounded monsters were disoriented and growled desperately in pain. This is a great opportunity to disable them. Zhao Cheng was pleased. He and Liu Zie also knew how to fight in harmony. It seems the monsters have weakened. It's time to end it all. The enraged wolf growled, his foul breath causing the entire company to choke. About to deliver the decisive blow, the boy ordered everyone else to lie down. Zhao Cheng took a comfortable position, activating his powers and feeling the energy accumulating in his body. Using his powers, he can kill the wolf, but to be sure, he needs to give it his all. Bright flashes of flame surrounded him. His breathing quickened. His whole body was under enormous pressure. Zhao Cheng tensed every muscle in his body, sending a fireball towards the wolf, thereby releasing the pressure. The entire monster was engulfed in flames, growling and kicking, trying to get rid of it. The smell of burnt wool and flesh instantly filled the air. Liu Zie and Guanzhou couldn't believe their eyes. He was too strong. Even in Madame Guan's family, awakened beings below the 8th level are incapable of such a thing. But awakened beings above the 5th level are not allowed to enter this dungeon at all. This led to the question of what level this guy was at. Liu Zie answered her question thoughtlessly. About 4th, higher than him. He only had 2nd, 4th level, but it does things that only 8th level holders can do. In addition, he can set the blade on fire. At his level, he can only have one skill, which means this is the very first one. But this was considered a very weak power, and Zhao Cheng was able to create such a powerful attack. Madame Guan smiled contentedly. Perhaps she had found the very talent her father had been looking for. Zhao Cheng watched the numbers change with delight. His performance was improving successfully. There is an additional explanation for the wolf's bloodlust seal. If he has already seen it activate, he gets more information when selecting it. With some hesitation, the guy chose the bronze seal, headshot, another combat seal, similar to the fire enchantment. While the effect itself is average, when combined with other seals, it can play a decisive role, delivering a killing blow at the most opportune moment. However, the most important thing now is to skin the Wolf King and collect the trophies. The girl watched in surprise as he bent over the carcass, wondering what use these things were to him. They can exchange them for supply coupons and also craft them into clothing and weapons. In their settlement, such materials are considered quite rare, but according to the agreement, everything belongs to her. Father always taught Guanzhou, she should not look down on others. Every life in this world has infinite potential. It seemed that her father's words were absolutely correct. Even in some remote settlements unknown to her, geniuses like Zhao Cheng could be born. But they were running out of time. The energy of this place was making his hands go numb. Liu Zie nodded in agreement. This means they need to act even faster. It's time to gain experience. The higher their level, the higher the chance of overthrowing Zhao Jiji's gang. If he wants to gain more experience, then instead of wandering aimlessly in search of monsters, it is better to go to one place. The guys turned around in unison, interest splashing in their eyes, wondering if there really was something better. Each dimensional dungeon has one true boss, and killing a boss gives significantly more experience than killing regular monsters. And in the boss area you can find treasures, perhaps high-level crystals or divine weapons. The guys listened with interest about the murder of the boss when Liu Zie stopped her. Didn't they kill the boss? Zhao Cheng noticed that Madame Guan mentioned the boss's area, which meant that the real boss was guarding the treasures and didn't go out looking for trouble himself. Zhao Cheng accepted the girl's idea. But how will they find this boss? They have little time. Finding a boss dungeon is indeed not easy, but for a low-level white-rank dungeon, she has something suitable. Mrs. Guan dug into her pockets and took out a small box. This thing is expensive. There is no need to advertise its value in front of them. This is a perception indicator. It can determine the direction the boss is in. In a green-rank dungeon or below, it can accurately indicate the direction of the boss created from the treasures of the green-rank dungeon. The Trinity continued to follow the arrow for a long time. The sun finally disappeared behind the horizon. Something moved among the rocks. Liu Zie shuddered. It was probably that same boss. The monster resembled some kind of unusual boar hybrid. It looked ferocious even in its sleep. A system notification has arrived. It is a demon boar with red spikes. Level 10. After its death, the dungeon will disappear, and all passages will be closed. He is level 10, which means he has 2 awakened seals. His physical characteristics are probably outstanding. When the girl entered this dungeon, her teacher warned her not to provoke the boss. To defeat them, you must be an awakened monster level that exceeds normal limits even within the dungeon's limitations. Liu Zie grimaced in dissatisfaction. Then why did she bring them here? Isn't this a waste of time? Guanzhou thinks that he is an awakened monster of a level that surpasses the norm. Zhao Cheng hissed at them. Someone is approaching. Indeed, a small group of men was approaching them, and they looked impressive. The leader cackled. He had already entered this dungeon almost 10 times, and had finally found the boss. Zhao Cheng assessed their condition. Among them there were powerful fighters, and in the hands of their leader was a pistol. He once saw someone using such a thing to hunt mutated wild dogs outside the settlement. This weapon is from ancient times. Now only replicas are used. They say that in ancient times people had even more terrible weapons. While their weapons are powerful, perhaps even surpassing their awakened seals, there are rumors that some awakened seals are capable of changing the entire world with their mere presence. A group of young people were chatting. They were quite distracted. A deafening explosion made them jump in place. Zhao Cheng almost cursed as they began to fight. The barrage of machine gun fire continued unabated, but it hardly caused any damage to the monster. But the man was not afraid and was self-confident. He would definitely win. Since they've already drawn the boss's attention, they might not have to kill him themselves to get the treasure. The furious shelling continued. The creature roared in pain, but steadfastly withstood the onslaught. Zhao Cheng tries to be a fisherman who profits from the fight between the snipe and the clam. The guy looked at her in confusion, wondering what the girl meant. Since someone has interfered, they need to take advantage of the situation and take the treasure. Otherwise, it will be difficult for them to defeat this boss in an open fight. Madame Guan's watchful eyes did not miss the condition of Zhao Cheng's arm. It was severely damaged by the erosion of the dungeon. If it was not addressed urgently, it would affect his movements. It's dangerous now. He could die if he's not careful. The girl handed him some pills. They protect against the erosion of low-level dungeons. Liu Zie reached out for the medicine in relief, but Zhao Cheng was still hesitant. Liu Zie said that just to enter this spatial dungeon you have to pay hundreds, so how much are the weapons and pills that the girl got worth? They had an agreement with her, but it was obvious that she offered them much more than they could give her. Such things are very cheap, it's just that maybe they don't have them in their settlement. You can buy them for 1 banknote. These words calmed the guy down. He took the pill with gratitude. He would repay her later. What a sensible guy. Even though he is poor, he still has principles. He doesn't want to be indebted to anyone. If Mrs. Guan had admitted to him that 1 pill cost 2,000, he would have definitely refused. While the young people were distracted by the conversation, the picture behind them became bloodier. The demon had already killed many men. Growling and squealing, the boar grabbed the men with its horns and threw them into the air. The gang leader continued to shoot back, but apparently this did not weaken the monster in any way. As a defense, the demon activated the seal of hardened wool, which negated all damage inflicted. The man realized that he had made a mistake. He did not know that one of the seals of this beast strengthens the defense. However, he was not afraid. He and his brothers had been through so many hardships. Why should they be afraid of some stupid boar? Zhao Cheng continued to watch. The entire team of men had formed a defensive wall. Now he didn't feel like they were just a gang as he initially thought. Since the leader has such loyal brothers, he must be strong. But his main goal is to open this castle. Liu Xie shared that his friend had picked many locks while exploring the world outside the settlement. Guanzhou was interested. She had never been outside the settlement, what the outside world was like. But the young man could not answer this question. He rarely leaves the settlement and simply walks through safe zones. But Zhao Qing said that the world was rotten, but at the same time full of life. These words echoed in the girl's head. What kind of world did he see? She looked at her new acquaintance with different eyes. Now he seemed more serious and fearless to her. With time running out, Zhao Cheng fiddled nervously with the lock, praying that no one would notice. Finally there was a click. He didn't expect that the structure of the lock was the same as those in the outside world. With a satisfied grin, he opened the lid of the chest to see what was hidden here. A sharp and unexpected explosion made him jump back from the chest in fear. Damn, the fight was too fierce. With his heart beating wildly, the boy turned his gaze to the battlefield. The beast was looking at him. Forgetting about the men who continued to shoot, the demon headed towards Zhao Cheng at full speed. The young man took a comfortable position, drawing his daggers. He was ready. He quickly scanned the battlefield, trying to come up with a plan, and then he noticed something alarming. No one was on their feet except the gang leader. Could it be that the entire group had been defeated? The man screamed, "This beast is beyond his capabilities. There is no point in sacrificing himself in vain. They are all already doomed and will not get out of this dungeon. But he, as a nimble boy, has a chance to survive." The wounded men smiled at him, telling him to run and remember that the Red Scarf team saved him. Despite the encouragement, of course, the young man had no intention of leaving. As he rushed into the attack, he shouted to his friend to help him. If they run away now, what will that say about them? Liu Xie activated the required seal. His friend would definitely deal with this monster. Concentrating his strength, Zhao Cheng launched the first strike. The man's mouth dropped open in surprise. This guy had wounded a level 10 boss with one blow. Who the hell was he? This seal creates heat waves. If he comes closer now, he will definitely run into an attack and get burned. Zhao Cheng needs to figure out how to avoid direct attacks and still win. At level 10, you can only have 2 seals, and he had already used both. This monster is really smart. It wants to take advantage of the heat waves surrounding its body to attack it. The leader of the Red Scarves continued to fire. Even though this monster had driven him to this state, it was not worth messing with them. He believes that this boy can finish off the monster. Zhao Cheng was already used to feeling intense pressure when he activated his ability. All the battle seals are activated, he has put everything on the line, now he definitely cannot lose. The man and the demon ran towards each other, ready to collide again. Zhao Cheng signaled to Liu Xie it was time to hit his weak spot. Let him follow the trajectory of his stone, left side of the ribs. Zhao Cheng repeated to himself like a mantra, the left side of his thighs. While the creature was distracted by a new attack of pain, he hung over it and thrust the knife forward. One blow, one more blow. He tried to inflict as much damage as possible to weaken the demon. Even faster, he must hold on until the demon falls. The boy's body could barely withstand the onslaught of the demon's heat shield. He felt his hair and skin begin to burn. Finally, the final blow, and the demon was defeated. A fanfare sounded as the system announced that he had defeated the level 10 red-spiked boar demon. Liu Xie and Guanzhou joyfully greeted the hero. They won. The girl's face showed concern, as the guy was badly burned and needed urgent help. Zhao Cheng was barely conscious. His body was shaking violently. In a weak voice, he asked his friends to monitor the situation around him. He needed to catch his breath. While Zhao Cheng was busy with the restoration, his friends tactfully turned away. By killing a boss 5 levels higher, you gain 2 levels at once. That's his luck. Tempered wool is the seal of the boar demon. It's not exactly useful, but its effect is outstanding. To farm bullets he needs guns, those same old weapons which he can't afford now. Well, what about the last one? A one-time overload, what does that even mean? But it is a golden seal, so it is worth choosing it. This is a support seal. Now he will be able to use seals more often with a short cooldown. If used wisely, he can quickly gain enormous combat power. They are all good, but you can only choose one. After some thought, Zhao Cheng chose the familiar solo development. All stats increased by 45%. The golden seals are truly impressive, and the second effect is even more powerful this time. He is now at level 7, just 1 level away from level 8, which is where Zhao Jijie is. The guy was determined. He would finally deal with this villain. A sharp jolt from the ground made everyone freeze in fear of what was happening. Madame Guan guessed that the dungeon boss had been killed. So soon this dungeon would collapse and disappear. Zhao Cheng stood up unsteadily. He needed to leave as soon as possible. A second later, he came to his senses. And what about the treasure chest? Mrs. Guan chuckled. She has it. With her seal you can store many things. Zhao Cheng was calm. They had agreed that everything they got here would belong to her. The blade would also be hers. But the girl did not want to take him back. Now he belongs to Zhao Cheng. And she promised that she would help overthrow the manager of his settlement. Unfortunately, there is a chance that she will not make it in time. As soon as they get out of here, the guys will have a mortal battle with other guys. But Guanzhou had no doubt that she would definitely make it in time. Somewhere in the middle of the forest, the heroes passed each other. The guys headed towards their portal as quickly as possible. Liu Xie wanted to check how his friend was. Zhao Cheng assured him that he was ready. After passing through the portal, they felt a little nauseous, but they were finally safe. Or not quite, because Zhao Jijie was waiting for them, and he didn't think that they would both survive. But this no longer matters. Liu Xie's parents, along with the residents of other settlements, have started a conspiracy and rebellion. The manager has already given the order. Zhao Jiji laughed maliciously, following the guy's order without hesitation. Everything happened as Zhao Cheng had expected. Uncle Liu, upon learning that they were sent to the dungeon dimension, decided to speed up the plan. Then they need to quickly deal with these guys and unite with their father and the others. Zhao Cheng laughed in disbelief. These two nobodies wanted to kill him and his company. Even after awakening the seal, they were still nothing. The men drew their swords. Zhao Cheng tried to calm his breathing and grabbed the handle of the dagger. They moved too slowly, and in just a couple of swings of his dagger, he killed several men. His voice was full of anger. Zhao Jijie still thinks that he can still boss them around. For the first time, doubt could be heard in the man's voice, how fast the blade was, and how he did it. This guy moved the blade so fast that he didn't even have time to see it. Zhao Jijie noticed that the portal behind him was closing. He couldn't believe it. The dungeon only disappears if the boss is killed. The man naively assumed that someone had killed the boss in the dungeon, and the boys had only received a portion of the experience. It seemed they were now awakened at least at level 2 or 3. A common man cannot kill them, but in front of him they are still too green. Liu Xie laughed deep in his chest. He was wrong. The guy pointed at himself smugly. The one who killed the boss. It was him. He hoped that suddenly she would understand him and give him the opportunity to show off for just a minute. Zhao Jiji's eyes widened in surprise at the term he had awakened. If this is true and Liu Xie killed the boss, his level must be higher than Zhao Cheng's. He needs to attack first and take out the weaker Zhao Cheng. Only then will he be able to win. Having rushed into the attack, the man ordered his assistants to detain Liu Xie, and he himself would kill his partner. Damn, if Liu Xie killed the boss, he is stronger than Zhao Cheng. And Zhao Jijie forced them to fight him. The men cursed foully. Zhao Cheng and Zhao Jiji clashed, and the sound of metal clanging was heard. The man began to suspect that he had miscalculated somewhere. The blow was strong and heavy. The Misty Forest is a white-tier dungeon, meaning its maximum level is 4, but it's not a level 4 power. It seemed like he had awakened a power term. But his power was useless until he could touch it. He would have to see if Zhao Cheng could keep up with his speed. He's level 8, plus all stats are increased by 30%. He doesn't have a chance, but his enthusiasm quickly faded. What was going on? Why was he still keeping up with him? Zhao Cheng tried to suppress his anger and maintain his sanity. After his sister's departure, Zhao Jijie constantly came to him, conducted searches, beat him, took away his things, and almost starved him to death several times. Pain, humiliation, and despair accompanied each of his visits. Zhao Cheng remembered it all very well. He remembered how his swollen face burned from the blows, how despite his pleas for mercy, Zhao Jijie did not stop. He continued to hit him in the face, demanding that he split. Where did he put the stone? Zhao Cheng knew from the beginning that he was after the awakening stone and wanted to take it away. Zhao Jiji got tired of listening to his chatter and struck again. This awakening stone was what his sister had exchanged her life for. Filled with anger, Zhao Cheng activated the terms. This blow, he put 3 years of accumulated hatred into it. It's anger that he wanted to take away from him, the last thing that was left of his sister. Anxiety filled the man's mind. Bad, very bad. His speed was increasing. What his sister left behind, he, even after enduring all the humiliation, will not allow anyone to take it away. Zhao Jiji heard the cracking of his own bones and joints, and his entire body was pierced by hellish pain. Zhao Cheng will pay him back in full for all these 3 years of humiliation. Seeing what was happening to their leader, the gang decided to retreat. But Zhao Cheng heard their frightened voices and turned around. He sent a fireball towards them. They also participated when Zhao Jijie beat him. The dagger flew at great speed, knocking off one head after another. Then he obediently returned to his master's strong grip. The 3 years' revenge completed today. Liu Xie took a closer look at what was in the pocket of Zhao Jiji's corpse. It was so shiny. The young man bent over the corpse, rummaged through its pockets. The beads in his hands quietly tapped. It was a pearl bracelet. Liu Zie froze, unable to breathe. This was his mother's bracelet. Hurry! His mother and the others have probably been captured and are being taken to the settlement administration. This is his mother's favorite pearl necklace. She would never give it to anyone else. Liu Zie's heart sank painfully, hoping that his mother would be okay. Zhao Cheng tried to reassure his friend that he shouldn't worry. She was definitely fine. Zhao Cheng never lies. He has his own designation, since he says so. The boys ran as fast as they could, their lungs burning and their hearts pounding. Finally, they reached the center of the settlement. The administration was right in front of them. An atmosphere of poverty and devastation always hung in their settlement, but today it was especially gloomy. Zhao Cheng and Liu Zie froze at the entrance of the building when someone whispered their names. Xiaoyu was trembling with fear. They had better leave quickly, as something bad had happened. Uncle Liu and his company surrounded the office and fought with the manager and his men. And Zhao Jai is going with people to arrest them. If they don't leave now, they'll be late. Liu Zie's parents are heroes, but they are worthless and never dared to go with them. Manager Fan Dahu and his thugs are all awakened. They can't even defeat ordinary people. Uncle Liu heard that he was sent to the dungeon, gathered his brothers who wanted to overthrow the scoundrel Fan, and they surrounded the office. But Fan Dahu's subordinates were too strong. They were no match for them, so they had better flee. Liu Zie didn't want to listen. His parents were there, so he wouldn't leave. Even if he died, he would die with them. But Zhao Cheng has nothing to do here. He can take advantage of the confusion and leave here. He had wanted to go look for his sister for a long time, but this place no longer held him back. Uncle Liu often helped him. Aunt Jan was like a mother to him. If he left now, what kind of person was he? After his sister left, during these 3 years when Zhao Jijie robbed him, it was his family who secretly gave him food. Without them, he would have died of hunger long ago. Besides, if it weren't for Fan Dahu's decree, would Zhao Jijie have dared to act so brazenly? This isn't just his personal grudge. Zhao Cheng has his own score to settle. Liu Zie was filled with gratitude. So, brothers, live and die together. Not believing their ears, people began to whisper, Zhao Jijie is dead. He is an 8th level awakened. How could he kill him? Inside the administration building itself, a bloody scene was unfolding. Fan Dahu took perverse pleasure in mocking the rebels for daring to challenge him. Liu Zie's father tried to preserve the remnants of his pride. He killed his mother. He killed so many people in the settlement. And now he wants to destroy his son too. His cruel inhumanity forced him to do so. The man burst out laughing. His son died. Then he will get a new one. They are all awakened guys. If he lowers his head, Fan Dahu gives him a chance to live. The manager laughed maliciously. He was so kind that he couldn't watch the man suffer. Following this, he sent a couple of projectiles in the direction of Liu Zie's father. The man was about to say goodbye to life when the trajectory of the projectiles suddenly changed. The blade returned to Zhao Cheng's hands, and he and Liu Zie arrived just in time. Liu Zie's voice trembled with anger. They would take his life. Fan Dahu didn't take their threats seriously, because they were just 2 little nothings. The man was glad to see his son safe and sound, but now was not the time to be a hero. They both had to run. Liu Zie was too stubborn to listen to him. They would not leave since they came to save his life. The manager felt visibility deteriorating. Had a smoke bomb been lit? This is just a distraction. We can't let them save all the awakened. While Fan Dahu was looking around tensely, Zhao Cheng suddenly jumped out at him from the clouds of smoke. Let him not look around. He is his enemy. Catch the leader before you catch the thieves. Just kill him and all the problems will be solved. Fan Dahu deftly dodged the attack, adrenaline rushing through his blood. Did the kid really want to fight him? His aura was filled with a thirst for violence, a rank that was not yet suitable for the boy. Zhao Cheng realized with resentment and anger that the man seemed to be right. His speed and strength are even higher than Zhao Jijie's, and he is the manager's most reliable and supportive thug. Jiang Kun, the settlement's #1 thug, has the ability to split into multiple avatars. The entire village fears his reputation more than the manager himself. He is one of the most brutal enforcers in the village. Countless people were beaten by him to the point of disability, and even more died at his hands. In the village, they nicknamed him a dog. If he bites, he will tear off a piece of flesh. Zhao Cheng and Jiang Kun's daggers rang out from the collision, sparks flying everywhere. He seemed to remember Zhao Cheng, the scoundrel who sold out her sister for the awakening stone. Zhao Jijie mentioned it, but he never found the stone he traded with his sister. A new wave of anger rose like fire in Zhao Cheng's chest. But he did not respond, concentrating on the seals. Jiang Kun enjoyed his expression. It seemed he had hit the mark. This guy, in attack, he doesn't change his rhythm 1 iota, which means his words didn't anger him at all. Yet by using the term it became more difficult for Jiang Kun. He felt resistance. The boy looks only 16 years old, but he thinks so wisely and deeply. He's so stubborn, he can't be allowed to grow. Jong-kun thought he could deal with the kid without the seal, but it seemed like its time had come. We need to kill Zhao Cheng here and now. Here is his term, incredibly strange, first defense, and then he will figure out where the lie is and where the truth is. Zhao Cheng dealt dozens of blows, trying to defend himself from the persistent avatars. Liu Ziye shouted that they were taking the prisoners away. He just had to hold out a little longer and they would help him. Zhao Cheng believed that he didn't need to be saved. He needed to kill the manager first and save his parents. Jiang Kun analyzed the situation. Their real goal was to save these awakened ones to increase the chances of victory. But did they really think that the team was so stupid that they would let them free them so easily? As if to confirm his words, the victims' legs gave way and they began to bleed, appearing to have been poisoned. Fan Dahu laughed smugly. They thought he was a stupid dog. Over the years he had met many talents, and as soon as the boys went underground, he imagined exactly this situation. That guy named Zhao was always running outside the settlements. He said that he was dangerous. Now Kun had to believe him. Fan Dahu ordered the mercenary to recall his avatars. He wants to have a word with this guy. Zhao Cheng is a man. The unrest in the Liu family has nothing to do with him. Now the manager has lost his weapon, Zhao Ji, and now the guy can take his place. It was really none of his business. They were planning to save their father and uncle to even the odds. Liu Zia's gaze dimmed. He realized that they themselves had now become a burden to his friend. If they are forced to stand next to him, he, like them, is doomed to die. His father begged the boy not to ruin his friend's life. Liu Zia's voice sounded lifeless. He knows what needs to be done. Tears welled up in his eyes. Zhao Cheng must put down his weapon. There was no point in dying for his family. Zhao Cheng is his brother, always and forever, and he will not abandon him. Despair gripped the boy's heart. He knew that this would be the right choice. Zhao Cheng must throw away this knife. This guy came out at the end of the world. He knows how to choose, to survive. You have to bow down and become someone's dog. Zhao Cheng was shaking violently and shouted furiously. What was Liu Ziye even talking about? He will not betray his brothers. He will not turn away from those who helped him. He is not capable of such a thing. His sister didn't teach him to do this. If they killed these bastards, they would all definitely survive. Fan Dahu chuckled. What a fool. Then he will just slaughter them all together. Jiang Kun went on the attack. This time he would definitely kill him. It's a coincidence that he has the same opinion. The momentum of their collision created an explosion that deafened everyone around. The rivals clashed time after time, but their strengths were too equal. Neither one yielded to the other. This guy's strength increased 2 or even 3 times, and he found himself overwhelmed by it. Wasn't his term that set the blade on fire just a trick? What a swindler. He deliberately deceived him with a trick, so that at the decisive moment he could use the term and finish him off with one blow. Jiang Kun didn't back down. Zhao Cheng shouldn't forget that he still had 2 clones as a gift. He was still no match for him. His term was too tricky. If he were alone, Zhao Cheng would easily deal with him. The mercenaries shouted, "Hurry up! We need to catch the moment and shoot him. He won't be able to dodge in the air." Dozens of arrows flew towards Zhao Cheng. These guys, although not awakened, are well trained. Moreover, the manager's assistants eat better than ordinary people, and their physical training is far from simple. In the air, he won't be able to dodge skillfully. His speed alone is still enough to completely reflect all shots. Maybe he should try throwing the knife to get rid of the 2 shooters. But if Jiang Kun intercepts the knife's return route, he will lose the weapon and find himself in a dire situation. Liu Ziye came to his aid. Zhao Cheng is right. They will finish them off first, then everyone will survive. He will help him, let him keep an eye on the projectile. They have a lot of weak spots. The smoke bomb lit up again, reducing visibility. People started coughing. Something was wrong with this smoke. Liu Ziye awakened half a year earlier than him, although this did not give him a real level increase. But due to his character, he prepared many tricks. Zhao Cheng didn't expect that his skills would be useful here. The clone's speed is low, which means it's not Jiang Kun himself. Then he will first cut one of his clones, thereby clearing his way. The action is seamless, meaning the clones don't feel any pain. It is pointless to simply injure the clones. Their activity must be completely paralyzed. For the first time in the entire battle, Jiang Kun panicked at what this guy was doing to his clones. Zhao Cheng realized that when he hits the clones, their damage is transferred to the original. You can't stand still, otherwise he'll become a target. Zhao Cheng cursed. It looks like he won't make it in time. The strength enhancement effect will end soon. He needs to act. This is the retribution for that shot because of their many years of complicity with the darkness. Jiang Kun's clone has already been destroyed. He won't appear again until the cooldown ends. We need to pin him down and kill him now, otherwise he will die himself. The time of the self-development seal ended. Zhao Cheng felt the strength leaking out of his muscles. Jiang Kun also guessed this. His term can enhance strength, but it doesn't last long. The effect has just expired. This blow, the power of the 9th level, they will still see if he can handle it. Jang Kun was already confident of his victory. He laughed maliciously, filled with euphoria. But Zhao Cheng was not so sure about this. The new term was activated. With one blow, he dealt with another clone of the mercenary. The man couldn't believe his eyes. How was this possible? His strength became even greater than it was. Zhao Cheng dealt the final blow, and Jiang Kong was finally dead. Finally, there was a deafening silence on the battlefield. No one moved. Liu Zie couldn't believe his eyes. It was his friend. He actually did it. When did this guy manage to grow to such a level? They have such strong youth in the settlement. Zhao Cheng, the guy responsible for the loss of 2 important people in Fan Dahu's team, anger and admiration were mixed together. His strength was running out, but the hero was not going to give up. Now it was his turn. Time to pay for all the atrocities he committed in the settlement. Yes, after the old man's death he became the manager. Over the years, many people died in the settlement, but many also increased. If you count, he is even considered the benefactor of this miserable settlement. Liu Zi's eyes darkened with anger. How dare he touch his mother? With trembling hands, he launched the projectile towards the manager. But for the man this was nothing. If he wanted to hit him in the head, he wasn't yet capable of that kind of force. This strike had the effect of revealing weak points. Even Zhao Cheng would not have been able to intercept it. But he did. Fan Dahu went on the offensive. Let the old man show him what real strength is. The manager swung the stone back with all his might. Liu Zie froze in place in shock, so fast and so furious. Zhao Cheng arrived in time to protect his friend. He gave the order for Liu Zie to continue throwing smoke bombs, disrupting the man's vision. He was awakened above the 10th level. To kill him, you have to go all out. Liu Zie rummaged through his pockets for new shells. It will be done. Zhao Cheng reacted too late. In the blink of an eye, the old man had moved straight to Liu Zie. There is no place for insects like this pathetic boy in the upcoming fight. Zhao Cheng felt his heart skip a beat. Drawing his blade, he instantly attacked Fan Dahu. But it wasn't for nothing that he was level 10. The manager's reflexes were at their best. That was the power. Truly impressive. It's no wonder that Jiang Kun died at his hand. But the guy just has a strong term, and his own level, he's sure, is no higher than 8th. His strength even surpasses that of the demon. That's the difference after breaking through the 10th level. The body becomes qualitatively different. Fan Dahu narrowed his eyes conspiratorially. Zhao Cheng should join him. He would allow him to stand on equal terms with him. In a couple of days he would live a life he never dreamed of. The young man was filled with disgust. Never. He had destroyed too many. Everyone he had brought to the settlement were real scum, just like himself. He gathered around himself dogs who oppress, use violence and rob. That's why he will never become one with someone like him. It seems his words touched the man, which means he wants to be a hero. Well, the manager was surrounded by flashes of lightning. Then he will help the boy with this. The cruelty of this world is not as simple as he thinks. Without an iron fist, their settlement would have long ago been swallowed up by others. The manager screamed. Now he barely resembled a human. His muscles and height had increased. So this is what his first term is like. He risks his life to protect useless creatures like them, and they just give him some of their supplies. It's a fair deal. Does Zhao Cheng really think that everyone else is as kind as the old man? Even as a little boy, he realized how unfair this world is. His father received a serious wound, but he brushed it off. He is strong. Everything will heal in a couple of days. These are not wounds, but an order for the protection of everyone. His father was considered a hero of the settlement, but nevertheless he died a cruel death. It's ridiculous. There's no benefit, just empty gratitude. What the hell kind of medals are there for these wounds? Only a fool could be proud of defending worthless people. Since Zhao Cheng wants to become a hero, he will help him do so. After all, he hates people like him the most. The man's attack was strong and burning. The guy could hardly withstand it. The force has not changed, which means that its first term did not add force. If so, then he will use the seal of one-time refresh to reset all the cooldowns of the terms and fight him to the death. Fan Dahu should not think that the power of terms is only his. The man frowned as he noticed the guy's strength skyrocket again. It seems he has awakened an explosive term. You can't hide like you did with Jiang Kun. You have to go on a full attack and not give him a break. Without giving the enemy time to recover, the guy went on the attack again. What the hell? His strength increased several times in an instant. Even his jaws hurt from the enormous force of the blow. There's something wrong with this guy. It's definitely not the power that one term gives. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to stop the blade from penetrating him if he was below level 8. Also, the flames on his blade somehow stayed on him. That must be a trick, not a term. He has too many quirks. If we continue to get stuck in this fight with him, he will die himself. This was not the end of his possibilities to win. Fan Dahu decided to use another means. And this guy is a handy tool. The old man switched to another seal. His second term worked, but the power increased a little. His advantage in terms is still too high. So be it, then they will achieve the decisive result. Zhao Cheng concentrated all his strength into one point. Then he would cut off his head. Now, his movement is too sweeping. He will try to snatch a break by wounding. Too late the boy realized that something was wrong, because his blow was not reflected. Too bad, he deliberately cut off his own arm to escape, because his target is Liu Xie. Unfortunately, the guy was still unconscious and couldn't defend himself in any way. Fan Dahu continued to curse. How painful it was. If he hadn't thrown his hand away, he wouldn't have fallen into his hands. The man took the unconscious boy hostage. Zhao Cheng must drop the knife immediately, otherwise he will break his neck right now. The hero's voice trembled with anger. Fan Dahu had stooped to such a vile act. But the old man didn't care. In this world, only the strongest survive. He hissed again. Let him throw the knife. If Zhao Cheng drops the knife once the term ends, he will not be his opponent. But if he doesn't do the opposite, his friend will die. What should he do? Liu Xie's father intervened. Enough. Does the manager know why they tolerated his bullying all these years and only now rebelled? Fan Dahu glanced at him with disdain. Wasn't it because of his beloved son that his mother died in pain and he didn't even lift a finger? Uncle Liu shook his head. All because they felt a duty to his father. Something in the old man's expression changed subtly. He repeated in a muffled voice, duty to his father. He was a hero. The hero of their entire settlement. His father sacrificed his life to stop another settlement from plundering and prevent an even greater tragedy. And he is the son of a hero. Even if he was naughty and oppressed them, they endured it because they believed that he would change and become like his father. But a year ago, Father Liu accidentally discovered something. In a year, their leader will leave for the settlement of 19 to take the position of deputy manager. This shabby hole will be squeezed to the last drop, and they will be left here to die. Then they too will be able to rise up. They will no longer have to plow this land and grow weeds, because the neighboring settlement is a large city with a pig farm. Fan Dahu was about to abandon them and become the lapdog of his own father's killers, but it was the people from settlement 119 who seriously wounded him. But the manager didn't want to listen to him. His father deserved it. In this end of the world, anyone who wants to be a hero must die. He will not become like his father, who hung around in this place all his life. He will join a neighboring settlement and end up in the big world. Fan Dahu turned to Zhao Cheng. He counted to 3. If the boy did not drop his weapon, then in the end, he would only take the body of his dead friend. Zhao Cheng gritted his teeth. The countdown began. 3. The creaking of wheels was heard. Settlement Brigade 119 had arrived on site. Fan Dahu grinned. His boss was already here. Zhao Cheng was a corpse. Fan Dahu shouted, attracting the attention of the newcomers. They must quickly help him deal with these rebels. The situation is hopeless. Liu Xie is in his hands again. What should he do to turn the situation around? To protect himself so that he could take revenge later. But if he left, his friend and family would surely die. Zhao Cheng would abandon them and watch them die. Fan Dahu laughed smugly and maliciously. So what if the boy in front of him was strong? He has more people now, and this bastard is doomed. Zhang Titi casually slipped out of the car. He was the current manager of settlement number 119. The old man broke into a smile. What happiness it was for him, Fan Dahu, to see him with his own eyes. Did the man really come for him personally? He was simply incredibly lucky. Zhao Cheng instantly grabbed Liu Xie, whom the old man had thrown away. It was good that he was still alive. So this is the same person that Uncle Liu spoke of, the manager of settlement 119. And this is a huge settlement. It seems that the manager has indeed defected to his father's murderers, meaning his situation has become even more dangerous. This man emanates a power far more powerful than that of Fan Dahu. Zhang Titi was starting to get irritated by the sight of the old man groveling before him. He shouldn't bother with his pleasantries. He was looking for someone, and if he didn't answer, he would crush his head. The manager can simply tell the old man's name. If this person is in the settlement, he will definitely bring him. For some reason, it seems that the manager Zhang Titi does not recognize him, although the Lei brothers, with whom he did business, assured that they had already passed his name on personally to the manager. But when the old man heard Zhao Cheng's name, he shouted. Of course, it was he who started the rebellion. He openly challenged the company's system. He chuckled to himself. So manager Zhang Titi came to his aid. Zhao Cheng was dead. The man raised an eyebrow in disbelief. Did Zhao Cheng really want to seize power over the settlement? Fan Dahu was only too happy to complain, that's right. He even cut off his hand, and he asks for justice to be restored. Zhang Titi threw away his cigarette butt and nodded towards him. It was Zhao Cheng. The guy instantly tensed up, ready to defend himself. Just like that. He heard that to become a manager, one had to be awakened below the 10th level. so how could some kid cut off his hand? Before Fan Dahu could say a word, a pistol barrel was pointed at his forehead. Zhao Cheng's identity was confirmed, his role was over, and the ground was spattered with blood. The interfering scum is gone. Now we can talk about Zhao Cheng's rebellion. He came to take over the territory. If he dealt with their manager, then they will be next. The man assured him that he needn't worry. An urgent order had come from above. Recently, the major settlement managers had been ordered to immediately provide assistance to a certain Zhao Cheng from settlement 226. But the guy hadn't been so naive for a long time. Something was wrong here. Why would this person help him? Zhang Titi was relaxed. This guy is suspicious, and that's good. But the man who gave him this order said that if he saw it, he would believe it. Zhao Cheng's eyebrows shot up in surprise. This was an indication of Madame Guan's sensitivity, meaning she had sent someone to help them. He of course guessed that Guanzhou had an unusual origin. But I didn't think that she could give orders even to the manager of such a large settlement as 19. Besides, that important person sent the guy something else. Zhao Cheng felt his throat go dry. These were supplies, salted meat, fish, even flour. Here is the ID card of the settlement manager number 226. Without this document, it is impossible to comply with the company's rules and be officially recognized. Now, if he accepts this certificate, he will become the legal ruler of the settlement. What Uncle Liu risked his life and almost destroyed his family to win, now it simply lies before him. The man croaked for Zhao Cheng to take him. No one else was better suited for this right now. Now we can consider that he is indebted to Guanzhou and will try to repay her later. Zhang Titi ordered the field medical team to rescue the wounded, as the formalities were over. By the way, the same important person gave him another thing, but it's up to him to decide whether to accept it or not. Zhao Cheng knew, this is it, nothing comes for free. The mad spark in the manager's eyes made him afraid. He could go with him to settlement 119 and pass the test. If he succeeds, he will get a chance to join the company. Fantian Company is the savior of the Eastern continent, which appeared after the world plunged into the apocalypse 1,000 years ago. And today, it has already become the true ruler of the Eastern continent. Ordinary people on the continent consider it a great honor to be able to join Fantian Company and become its employee, because joining this company is like ascending to heaven in one step. Food, shelter, security, all sorts of items and medicines that help awakened ones level up and develop their abilities. Everything that can be obtained here is incomparable to what ordinary people possess. For the people of the Eastern continent, joining Fantian Company is the greatest wish of their lives. One could even say their dream. Zhao Cheng must decide whether he will go with him to settlement 119 and pass the test, or remain here as the manager of settlement 226. The sister was taken by people from the company. To find her, he must get there, and this is a great chance. But now we also need someone to step forward and calm everyone down. It seemed that Zhang Titi had read his thoughts. He understood. Then he would wait here for 2 days. Then he should give him an answer. Relief washed over the guy. It was good that he still had time to think. This guy looks completely ordinary. How did he manage to get acquainted with people of such a level? There's no logic to it. But the credit for the reinforcements already belongs to him. Perhaps if he can keep this guy under control, his rank in the company can climb even higher. All residents of settlement 226 in the western sector are already here. Now I have something important to announce. Zhao Cheng defeated the scoundrels Fan Dahu and Zhang Kun and even received recognition from the company. They unanimously decided that he could now become theirs. But the man didn't have time to finish. Zhao Cheng interrupted him. The most suitable candidate for the post of the settlement's manager would be him. The guy explained that he had to find his sister so he wouldn't stay here for long. They were all awakened, so they would be able to protect the settlement. Zhao Cheng is right. In terms of age, experience, and knowledge, Uncle Liu is much more suitable for the role of manager than he, who is still very young. But the man doubted that if he gained power, who could guarantee that he would not turn into the same person as Fan Dahu? People began to whisper. Uncle Liu sighed and said to himself, it's time. His son loves to read, and he does too. And the books say that in ancient times people governed the country with the help of laws, and he thinks they can do the same. Before rebelling against the previous manager, they secretly discussed and drew up 15 points of law that they must adhere to. Every year they will review them and change them if necessary. It really is better than living by the whim of one person. It seems Uncle Liu was really well prepared for this day. He is a literate man. Liu Zie loves to read. Their heads work much worse than his. Zhao Cheng knew that he could now rely on these people and look for his sister in peace. From this day on, Liu Zie and other people will no longer be around. He will be left alone. A familiar, cheerful voice made him flinch in surprise, and he was about to leave without saying a word. Da Zhao Cheng would get into any trouble without him. He would be deceived at every turn. Liu Zie couldn't bear to watch him go. Zhao Cheng grinned. a pleasant warm feeling spreading in his chest. Did he really come to see him off? Liu Zie burst out laughing. He was going with him, even though he didn't think he could fly alone and become a great person without him. Zhao Cheng was shaking with laughter, but at least his parents let him go. The guy raised his head. Of course not. He ran away secretly. But his friend need not worry. He left them a note. Zhao Cheng didn't take his words seriously. He felt that if his friend went back, Uncle Liu and the others would start to worry. Liu Zie's mask of self-confidence cracked, and with a trembling voice, he called out Zhao Cheng's name. It was said that the great bird Peng takes off with the wind in one day and rises to 90,000 li. Zhao Cheng is that same bird, but he also wants to become one. The world is vast, and he, Liu Zie, does not want to be a nameless man. The wind that raised this great Peng with the flapping of its wings ignited a flame within him. Zhao Cheng stared at his friend with surprised eyes, and he hadn't even noticed how quickly Liu Zie had matured in these days. Well, if he finds it hard or in pain, he shouldn't dare complain. Liu Zie laughed maliciously. He was afraid that Zhao Cheng would be the one who cried. Zhang Titi already knew that he had lured the young man to his side. It looked like the wind would rise soon. These two are no slouch. He has managed this settlement for so many years. But this is the first time he has completed tasks together with manager Jiang. And from his look, it is clear that the manager takes them very seriously. When the time really comes to part, Liu Zie willingly leaves. After all, he is not like him. He has someone he cares about. Zhao Cheng has a question, but he's not sure if he should ask it. So he tried to change the topic to make his friend feel less tired. The driver chuckled. If there are any questions, he will try to tell you everything he knows. Is it true that the manager of their settlement 119 killed the manager of their settlement 226? It seemed he had touched on a truly difficult topic, and the driver hesitated. Manager Zhang Titi didn't do anything like that. It seems like he came to power 6 or 7 years ago by killing the previous manager in their settlement. Compared to the previous manager who was desperate for expansion, Manager Zhang paid more attention to internal construction, thereby improving the quality of life. That's why people are very sympathetic to the current manager of their settlement. This means that it is enough to have the ability to kill the current manager, and you can take his place. This conclusion of the guy drew frightened glances at himself. The wind brings the smell of blood. Mutant animals have appeared. Indeed, from the mountains, dozens of eyes sparkling in the darkness were watching them. Having spotted their prey, the animals growled aggressively, their howl rolling like a rumble between the rocks. This is a mutated dog. It is larger than the mutant wolf and will not attack so stupidly. The driver reassured them with a grin. They had encountered them before, so the guys didn't have to worry. Manager Zhang Titi is stronger than they think. The man ordered everyone to cover their ears. At first he exhaled gently, building up his strength until a muffled whistle was heard, which grew louder and louder. The term was activated. The man shouted for the creatures to go away. The scream worked, throwing the monsters back several meters. Zhao Cheng barely had time to cover his ears at the loud sound. The driver laughed with admiration. He had said that their manager was very cool. Those stupid dogs just ran away. A dog is still a dog, even if it has mutated. Finally, closer to late at night, the company reached settlement 119. The entire procession of cars was greeted with delight. Thanks to the manager, it seemed he really was an authority figure here. The houses in the settlement are occupied, so they will have to be placed here temporarily. It's pretty shabby. There's a thick layer of dust, a little better than in Zhao Cheng's house. The cracks are smaller, so there won't be any drafts. This evening, they can read the test instructions from the company. The man reminded that this test is not just for him. Many people are participating in it. Zhao Cheng barely listened to the man as he leaned back on the bed tiredly. This made him displeased. He didn't even pay attention to their modest hospitality. He lay down on that tent. Was he really that important, handsome man? Having asked for forgiveness, he decided to leave the young people. If anything, let them shout. There was duty on the street. Liu Zi read out the instructions. The test was this. You need to pass the white rank dungeon dimension. It looks simple. The level restriction below 10 is probably a little stronger than their previous dungeon. It is not said how many people will be accepted, and whether there is a quota. Then perhaps the test itself has 2 conditions for passing. First, kill the boss, and second, stay alive with all participants. The sheet does not indicate the number of participants, or the number of those who will be accepted, but his guess may turn out to be quite correct. Participants come from all over the world. No one wants to be the loser, so it is inevitable to unite and kill the past boss. After all, to defeat the boss, you have to pay a huge price. They have already experienced this, but profiting from a ready-made one is much easier. Zhao Cheng settled himself comfortably and advised his friend to go to bed, as they had an important day tomorrow. Liu Zie still wanted to chat, but the guy tried to shut him up. It was time to sleep. Well, okay. They will pass the tests and will definitely get into the company and will also become people with status. According to his observations, the guy really wasn't the least bit disgusted, although it cannot be ruled out that he is simply hiding something very well. But this definitely doesn't mean anything. Tomorrow an examiner from the company will arrive. If the guy is really strong, let him show himself. The man didn't understand one thing, why his boss was so fixated on this guy. Jung Titi took a deep breath, and in it he saw a reflection of himself in his youth. The same innate talent, the same life under the yoke of tyranny, the same desire to rebel. But that guy has a patron, and he didn't have one at that time. He's probably a little jealous of this bastard. That's why he's paying attention. But is this really true? Entrance to the Dungeon of Settlement 119, Day of Trials. So many guards, the dungeon is really difficult. Awakening stones are rare among them, but in more prosperous settlements they are not so uncommon. But those who can pass the dungeon calmly are a real rarity. They already know the rules, go through the dungeon and return alive, for which they will receive the right to join the company. Jung Titi won't talk about the benefits of working for the company. They already know everything. A signal sounded and people ran in crowds to the portal. The monsters might not be able to get through. The examiner supervising the test was already on site and watching from a distance. The butler insistently asked the girl not to show herself in public. The owner would not like it. Guanzhou sighed. She knows and will not take off her hood as the examiner of the test. She is just assessing the situation. The test participants scattered in all directions. They needed to get through the cave as quickly as possible and not let it take all the energy. There was a fork in the road, which separated the participants. The boys wondered where they should go. Someone's strong hand reached out to their shoulders, causing Zhao Cheng and Liu Zia to tense up and jump back. What a meeting. The driver's face lit up with a smile. People from Settlement 119 are also allowed to participate in the test. He is here for the sake of his wife and children. The man tried to make his voice kind as he suggested that the boys team up. After some thought, Zhao Cheng decided to take him into the team. With one condition, he had to pay 200 coupons. The driver's salary was large. For him it was nothing at all. It was a matter of agreement. Distracted by the deal, the men didn't notice that someone was following them. His aura is different from the rest. She feels it with her ability. This man is the owner of a shining term. The driver called them a command, but Zhao Cheng disagreed with them. The command sounded somehow strange. This person radiates the aura of the owner of the shining term. Joining them means greatly increasing the chance of survival. But she does not know how to get along with strangers. Everyone is waiting for her to come back. She can't die here. Hua Xiaoman brings hope to the entire village. We must be braver. There are too many branches here. If you go blindly, you can run into a real beast. This dungeon appeared quite recently. They say that it is dangerous. A driver would not dare to go here. The further you go, the worse the visibility becomes. In such conditions, if monsters appear, there is only one thing left to do: fight head-on. Liu Jie only knows how to deceive those who don't know him, like the driver. Zhao Sheng heard a suspicious rustling sound out of the corner of his ear, and hissed at his companions, ordering them to remain silent. Hua Xiaoman froze in place. Did he really notice her? Should she go out? What if they took her for an enemy? A sharp crash and a deafening roar made her flinch. It seemed that the problem wasn't her after all. A mouse with steel claws, level 5, the creature looked impressive. The girl breathed a sigh of relief. They were talking about monsters, not about her. There were several creatures, 6th, 7th, and 8th levels. Zhao Cheng decided to take on the strongest one. The huge mouse was rapidly approaching, destroying everything in its path. They immediately came across a level 8 monster. The dungeon is really more dangerous than before. Last time, even the Wolf King was only level 5. Liu Jie decided to shoot at the eyes, asking the driver to cover him. He had no shortage of accuracy. The guy easily hit the target. He didn't want to interfere with his friend. It was better to use his abilities to help control the fight. The past failure was a shame for him, and he would remember it. Meanwhile, Zhao Cheng continued to desperately fight with the main boss, which was difficult for him. The monster activated his term, and the hero decided to follow his example. He increased his stats and cut the monster in half with just one blow. These 2 terms of independent development have already increased his physical performance far beyond his current level. Such a monster is no longer his rival, but Liu Jie is still weak. They need to be helped as soon as possible. He looked around, and indeed, the other monsters had not yet been defeated. However, they hold up better than the guy expected, although the driver again behaves like a real chauffeur. Wait a minute. These 2 mice with steel claws are running slower than the one Zhao Cheng killed. Their speed is at least a third slower. But the difference in level can't be that big. Their noses, why are they so wrinkled? Is someone secretly using the term to ruin their sense of smell? If someone is helping from the shadows, That means at least now he is not going to attack them. Then they will kill the 2 remaining rats, and then they will find him and ask who he is. The monster roared in pain, and the cave shook from the echo of its roar. The driver was amazed. Liu Zie had excellent aim. Suddenly the rats froze in place, clutching their heads as if they were in pain. The guy tensed up. It was strange why they stopped pursuing them. This is very bad. They are burrowing into the ground. Liu Zie realized in time. They need to run, as the monsters are going to attack from behind. But no matter how fast they ran, the monsters were faster. Hua Xiaoman, seeing how the claws were almost reaching the men, panicked. We'll have to use all our strength to help them stop these 2 creatures. The rats became disoriented when they smelled the foul stench. Zhao Cheng took advantage of the moment and delivered the finishing blow. He killed 3 monsters, but his level didn't increase, even with the advance bonus. As expected, the higher the level, the harder it is to level up. But his friend finally got a promotion, and he jumped with delight. Zhao Cheng looked around, turning to someone else. He is grateful for the help. Now this friend can go out. Hua Xiaoman awkwardly slipped out from behind the rock, and he finally noticed her. The hero assured the girl that she need not worry. Since she helped, it meant she was not an enemy. And for what she did, they are grateful, and may consider themselves in her debt. Those 2 rats suddenly slowed down. She used the term and helped them. Otherwise they would definitely have been injured. If they meet her again, they will help her in any way they can. Now they need to hurry. They need to move on. Zhao Cheng waved his hand goodbye to her. Hua Xiaoman fidgeted awkwardly in place. If she missed this chance, there might not be a second one. Her voice sounded uncertain and hoarse as she asked shyly if she could go with them. Zhao Cheng doubted it. They were going to fight the boss. It was dangerous, and they could die. But this didn't frighten the girl. She came here to join the company, and she's not afraid to die. They are waiting for her in her home village. If she fails, it will be worse than death. But no matter how much the girl begged, the young man cold-bloodedly refused her. Hua Xiaoman was upset. Luck was not on her side again. Could he at least tell her why? He cannot guarantee her safety. And secondly, if she joins them, she will become visible, and this will rather be harmful to her. But Hua Xiaoman didn't believe his words. It wasn't because she was too weak or for any other reason. Zhao Cheng glanced at his comrades. Her ability seemed to be special, so she was unlikely to be weaker than them. Hua Xiaoman was upset when he refused. He was a good man, and she quickly hid in one of the caves. As the group moved on, Liu Zie conspiratorially asked why Zhao Cheng allowed the driver to join them. It's simple because he is Zhang Titi's henchman, although he is unaware of the manager's plan. The driver who drives the truck carrying the valuable supplies is clearly his confidant. Liu Zie was listening to his friend's arguments when he tripped over something. He slowly looked down, and the sight made his hair stand on end. There was a corpse lying in front of him. The driver screamed in horror. These were people from his settlement, the 9th level. How could she have died here? Perhaps the monsters inside are stronger than those outside. There are wounds from monsters on the body, but the fatal wounds were inflicted by human weapons. Liu Zie took a closer look. There were a lot of bodies here, as if they had been hidden here on purpose. The man felt his legs go numb. They were a team. Unbelievable. They all died here. Obviously, someone snuck up on them and finished them off when they were wounded, because there are marks from human weapons on their bodies. Those who killed them could have been sent by their enemies from Settlement 119. Then it turns out that in their settlement everything is not as united as it seems from the outside. From somewhere above, from the ceiling of the cave, a noise was heard. Something was approaching furiously, hearing their voices. The Drilling Fury Mouse, level 10, is considered an elite monster. Without a second's hesitation, the creature went on the attack. What power, comparable to that red demon? And this is just an elite monster of this dungeon. But the team was not alone here. They were being watched. The plan is they'll let them wear each other down and then come out and finish them off. If his guess is correct, the killer waited until the people and the monster had worn each other out, and then jumped out and finished everyone off. Such a person is certainly cunning and treacherous. Perhaps the killer is still hiding somewhere in one of the caves, watching them. To prevent him from interfering with the boss fight, it's best to finish him off right here. We need to use this monster to set a trap and lure him out. Zhao Cheng first decided to pretend to be injured, make him appear, and then strike first. His sister taught him this method while hunting mutated vultures, and it would work here too. Liu Zie shot the monster straight in the chest, exposing its weak point. You need to calculate your strength precisely. You can't kill with one blow. If he shows himself to be too strong, they won't come out. Zhao Cheng decided to attack, but at the same time deliberately show weakness. The monster's fist felt like a hammer blow, and Zhao Cheng felt his vision darken. An enraged Liu Zie struck one blow after another, drawing the monster's attention to himself. The creature growled furiously, destroying everything around it with its tail. He seemed to have truly decided that his friend was injured and was preparing to die along with the monster. But if Zhao Cheng told him the truth, the whole plan would fall apart. Zhao Cheng felt angry and desperate. Why was Liu Zi so out of his mind at times like this? It was no wonder that this creature was able to injure his friend so quickly. The driver didn't react in time, and there wouldn't have been a wet spot left on the young man. The mouse hit the ground so hard that it split the stone, creating a crater. It turns out that their bond is even stronger than the driver thought. They are true comrades, sharing life and death. Liu Zi felt fear. This is bad. She is coming at them again. The man picked up the boy again, letting him think he was in his debt. He moves so fast because he is actually a level 10 hero and has awakened properties. Super speed. Great. Then he can distract that monster while Liu Zi wears him out. A hail of stones fell upon the monster, disorienting it and causing it severe pain. So far the advantage is on their side. But Zhao Cheng received a direct hit. There is no time. He needs urgent treatment, otherwise he will bleed to death. He must finish off this monster quickly. Horror gripped the young man as he rummaged in his empty pocket. The stones were gone. This rat has been messing around all day, but it's all to no avail. Now he'll help her. The driver almost fell. Where did this stone come from? But no matter how hard he tried, the man still couldn't keep his balance, and he and the young man fell to the ground. The creature has almost reached them. It's all over. A bright flash almost blinded them. Zhao Cheng rushed in time, cutting the creature in half. If he didn't run away, then he won't abandon him.